Alright, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today and taking the time out of your days to come and discuss such an important issue that is directly affecting your children. So I'd like to commend you all for continuing to take such an active role in your children's education by just being here to discuss that ELC test that everyone has been asking about. And also, thank you again. We at Terra have been blessed with such an active and supportive PTSA organization. So without you guys, we really couldn't be as successful as we are. So, as you know, the state of Florida has now adopted another end-of-course exam that your children have to take and pass. So along with the end-of-course for biology, geometry, algebra, they now also have to take an assessment for the U.S. history exam. So it's going to be for social studies. This one is pertaining to the 11th grade U.S. history course. So our goal here today is to inform you about the exam, answer any questions that you may have, and ultimately come up with a plan of action that we can create and implement to have a better successful outcome in the course and on the assessment. So going back a few years, back in December of 2008, the Department of Education within the state of Florida created the Next Generation Sunshine State Standards for the curriculum of social studies. So what they've done is taken those standards and created an assessment. So we've taken away the final and midterm exams, but now the kids have to pass a state exam for certain subjects, social studies being the newest one that they need to take and pass. These standards, they're then divided into benchmarks. So just like anything else in life, they're just goals that we need to accomplish and make sure that the students know and understand at the completion of the course. So what the standards and benchmarks do, it just drives our curriculum and gives us a breakdown of what we need to be doing in the classes every day regarding the U.S. history course and any other subject. In regards to the U.S. history end of course exam, it is computer based, so it's no more, there's no paper and pen, so it's all going to be on the computer. And it will be about 52 questions. They are all multiple choice, each worth 1 point. In 11th grade, which most of your children are in right now, they will be covering, in regards to what the standards is holding us to, from the time period starting at Reconstruction to the present. So an issue that lies here is that they do need to, for some of the questions and some of the assessment, is tap into prior knowledge from 8th grade, because the way the curriculum is broken down into, when they were in 8th grade, they studied from pre-colonial times up until the Civil War, and then now they skip 9th, 10th, and 10th, and in 11th grade, we pick up from the end of the Civil War and Reconstruction to the present. So they do need to kind of remember some of that stuff that they learned in 8th grade. Last year, our students completed the first U.S. history end of course exam. It was considered a baseline year. So it didn't really count against them. It was more so to test the test, make sure that the students are now getting familiarized with how the end of course exam is going to be implemented. So the score, scale, and achievement levels will be available to us now for the 2014 year, so 2013-2014 school year. The way it works in the past, it's been with the other ELC exams, it's out of a 3-level assessment or grade. So level 1 would be the lowest level, which is not passing. Then 2 and 3 would be passing. Okay. Now, the scale score will be used as 30% of the student's final grade. Let me repeat that. All that means, which is a big thing, is that the students with that score of the ELC exam, that's going to count as 30% of their final grade, which means if they get an A every semester and they fail the end of course exam, they're not passing with an A as the final grade of the course. Because again, this test has a weight of 30% of the final grade. So they need to make sure that not only are they keeping up with the class itself and doing well, they also need to study and make sure that they pass. So we believe that our students are more than capable of passing the exam, but it's still an exam and it's not to be taken lightly. So we need to find a balance of not stressing them out with this end of course exam, but making sure that they are doing and keeping active with what they need to do throughout the year to ensure that they do well on the exam at the end of the course. So here at Tower, we know that we strive to support and do anything that we can to provide assistance for our kids. I am sure that your children will be more than successful in the course and on the assessment. So by being attentive, keeping up with class material, making sure that they're doing their work, that's pretty much what's going to prepare them for the exam. Remember, the goal here is not to cram and study just for a test. The goal here is to ensure that they are understanding the concepts in U.S. history and being able to make the connections from the past to the present and onto the future. So, as of right now, I think we've covered most of the issues with the exam. I'd like to open up the floor and ask or answer any of your questions or comments.
What happens if my child does not pass the test?
If your child or if the students do not pass the test, again, it's 30%. So two things can happen. They will be retained for that course, which means that they would have to either complete it on the Florida Virtual School, so do it online, or retake it all together their senior year. So that will take an elective away from them. The second choice would be that they have the option to retake the exam. There is a summer session. So they take the exam in the spring, and if they fail it, they have the opportunity to retake it again in the summer. Now if they fail that, then they would have to just retake the course completely.
The Florida Virtual School, is there a charge for that?
No, that's just the online schooling that they have, which more than likely they probably have already taken a course online.
Is there, sorry.
If my child does not pass the test, doesn't mean my child will not get the diploma. What you guys do?
Well, they would need to take it until they pass it.
Is there a special needs accommodation for the
Yes,
kids?
definitely. Depending if you have a child with special needs or if they have an IEP, whatever is written in the IEP or the 504 plan, we adhere to that. So if they need extra time or if they need maybe a paper-based test rather than computer, we need to make the accommodations and we go for that. And I can always refer Mr. Iwasudo, which is our special ed chairperson.
So what kind of questions are on the test?
The question is 52 multiple choice questions, but the way that Florida, the way our standards are being held right now, we're moving away from the just basic questions, the lower level questions as far as when did World War II start. Okay, we're moving away from that and going to the higher level thinking. Maybe a question could possibly be, how did the sinking of the Lusitania ship have an effect on bringing the United States into World War I? So it's more of making connections as opposed to just remembering and memorizing the dates, the times, the places, the people. So that's what's important. That's why I really emphasize the fact that they need to keep up with the class itself to be able to make those connections. And within the multiple choice, going back to your question, there are going to be graphs that they need to interpret, charts, tables, different scenarios. So again, they're moving away from the who, what, when, where. Yes?
You mentioned there's 52 questions. How much time? Is there a time limit?
Yes, it's 180 minutes of time that they need to complete that exam, which it's plenty of time. From what we saw in this past year, the kids pretty much finished way before time.
Way before?
Yeah, and they do have a 10-minute break in between to stretch. They cannot talk. They will, because it's computerized, they will have a pause button, and everything has to be secured. There is no talking. There is no exchange of any sort. They just stand up, stretch, and after the 10-minute is called, they need to continue on with the exam.
And this is an end-of-year exam. It's different from the FCAT. Yeah, they're still going to have the FCAT.
Right. They still took, they have already taken the FCAT, or they would have taken the FCAT in the 10th grade year, and this is separate. So what they've done again is taken away, think of it as a final exam for the course. And what Florida is eventually going to do is have an end of course exam for every course that's offered, for every subject. So now it's not mandatory that we do a midterm or a final, but it's mandatory that they take that exam and pass
It's
it.
just one time? Like it's not 9th grade, they have to take the end of year test?
It depends on the course. Right now, the U.S. History end of course exam, this is the first time that they've implemented an ELC for social studies. But they've already done the algebra ELC, they've done the geometry, they've done biology. So each subject will eventually, in time, have it, but that's going to take time and it's a process. So this is just, this one is pertaining to us because this is the first time that we've had one for social studies that the kids have never taken. So they're aware of how the ELC works in their other subject matters.
I have a question. Yes. Do AP student has to take and pass exam also?
No, the advanced placement kids, that's an exception. They do not. They're the only group that does not take the ELC exam. Now they do take their advanced placement college level exam, but not the AP. The rest of the students, so regular and honors level students, will have to take the ELC.
What kind of a system does the school provide to students and parents to prepare the student for the test? I know that is not it's not teaching to the test.
Right.
And you're teaching according to state standards, but as parents, I want to know what kind of help I can give my kids in order for my kids to be successful.
The main thing that we want to emphasize again is to keep up with what your student is doing in class. So every teacher in the school, and especially our 3 U.S. history teachers, each of us has a website. So we have a website and we upload pretty much what we're doing, the schedule for that week, everything that we're going to be doing, the assignments. So as parents, it would be best to really keep up with what is going on in the class and making sure that your child is actually doing the work. If there is a homework assignment, make sure that they're doing it. And so that it's a continuing thing, not that they're just at the end, oh my God, what do we have to deal with this exam? So we can do that. There's always the portal, the grade book, to keep up also with their grades. And of course you have the teachers' emails and contact information. It's always best to have that open communication with the teacher and the child.
Would the school be able, or would you be able to provide us, parents, a list of things so we can have it readily handy to check just in case?
That's a good idea. I'm going to jot that down.
We miss something,
Right.
or we
So-
forget the website or the email.
Yeah, everything is on the school website also, but if you forget maybe the specific teacher, you can always refer back to the school website and it will link you to the specific teacher. But yeah, I can take that back to the committee and the principal so that way we can come up with some kind of agenda for you guys. Yes?
Is there any tutoring for my kids?
Absolutely. The 3 U.S. history teachers always offer tutoring. Usually we will start mid-year until the test. The Social Studies Honor Society also provides tutoring, and that is more open to any student in the school with whatever subject that they need in social studies. So it could be U.S. history, it could be world history, it could be economics, government, human geo, anything like that. But in regards to specific tutoring for the test, you usually see that towards mid-year when they start actually practicing for the exam. We can create, maybe that's why again we're doing a plan of action. So if you have thoughts on something maybe from the beginning of the year, we can come up with something like that. And also I would like to see some continuing reinforcement of what was done pre-colonial times until Civil War, so that way they don't miss out on what they've already studied in 8th grade, so they can just kind of bring that back also.
the tutoring program that the school will be providing, would that be a year-round thing or it just toward before the test?
Well, we usually start it around January time, when we come back from the winter break.
Are there a specific time after school, before school?
The Honor Society will host it every Thursdays until 4 o'clock. But again, what the Honor Society does is just for any student. That's not specifically geared to the U.S. History end of course exam. So the teachers, each individual U.S. History teacher, they're the ones who provide the tutoring. And let's say, for example, I cannot stay one day. Usually mines are on Tuesdays. If I can't stay one day, Mr. Deliard is more than happy to take my students on another day. So depending on how the schedule is. And we always tell the kids ahead of time.
Do you take parents volunteer so we can?
That would be great if the parents could come and help out, because what ends up happening is we can actually assist more. We'll be able to break down the students and have more, time with each group. So if the parents are willing to come in, we would definitely appreciate that. And we can come up with maybe a list for volunteers to come in and help us.
Is it a fee?
Oh, no, for tutoring, absolutely not. No fee. The tutoring is always free. And it's beneficial because you get reinforcement. So the kids end up having a good time, and it's casual. It's not as,
Is there a
formal.
time frame? Like
It's
3
usually
to
2:30 to 4.
Okay.
2:30 to 4 o'clock, yeah.
Will there be a study guide that student can take home, as parents we can follow through and see what are some type of questions that might?
Well, the state of Florida does not release the exam, the previous exam, so that's kind of hard because this is on new to us. We've only taken one exam, one round of it. So, but they do not release the exam. But what we do as collaboration with the other teachers is create study guides for the units. And throughout the year, they have their own unit study guide. And eventually, that's what they're going to use. That's what they're going to use to study for the exam.
And you would give us a list of the teachers who will be volunteering the time, so I can know when
Yes,
my
they'll
class will
always
go.
be posted, so you can always go to the website and they'll be posted on, where. My specific website, it's always on there. So from there you can, you ask your child and they'll be more than willing to get the information. Any other questions?
No, I think we're good.
So
Well,
everything.
Thank you very much, and we will see you guys at the next PTSA meeting.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.